Hello, hello, hello. This is Marshall Goldsmith. Very, very happy to be here again today on LinkedIn Live, working with my wonderful friends from Methods. I'm going to briefly introduce myself and we're going to get rolling. I'm an executive educator. I've been ranked #1 leadership thinker, and I travel all around the world, or I used to travel all around the world speaking and teaching, which is what I love to do the most. Second, I'm an executive coach. I've had the privilege of coaching many, many of the most famous leaders in the world, and coaching is really where I learn everything. And then I'm an author. I've written or edited, I think 41 books, 3 massive bestsellers, 6 bestsellers, and the other 35 purchased only by my mother, my father, and assorted relatives. So those are the 3 things that I do. And then I came up with an idea of adopting people that are fantastic people, teaching them all I know for free. And the only price is when they get old, they do the same thing. This kind of started a movement called 100 Coaches. And if you just look at Google search 100, the number of space coaches, you'll see who these people are. Just an amazing, some of the top thinkers in the world, some of the top business leaders in the world. And the way it works is everybody's a member and all we have to do is give back to others. And I'm going to teach people all I know for free, and the only price is that maybe when you get older, you do the same thing. So today we have 2 fantastic people joining us. We have Dr. Julie Rosenberg. Julie, a wonderful person, an expert in this field, a person who's a senior medical consultant, has been so helpful to our group in terms of sharing what she knows with us. So Dr. Julie is joining us today, and we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to take care of yourself. And joining her is Dr. Sharon Melnick. Sharon is going to look more from the psychological dimension of this. She's worked at Harvard. She's done tons of research. She wrote a book about dealing with stress. Now, Dr. Julie and Dr. Sharon, if you don't mind, I'd like each of you to just take a minute or 2 and introduce yourselves, and then we're going to get rolling. So let's start out with Dr. Julie. Give us a minute or 2 on you.
Well, thanks, Marshall, and to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and to join the group with Marshall and with Sharon, my esteemed colleagues and dear friends. As Marshall said, I'm Dr. Julie Rosenberg, and I'm a pediatric oncologist, a cancer specialist in children by background and training and certifications. I've worked in the healthcare industry for almost 25 years now, initially in academic medicine at a major cancer center, and most recently for the past 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry. And in working with cancer patients, what I have come to know is that life is fragile. In 1 minute you can be fine, and the next minute you're not fine. And so what I've really come to be inordinately passionate about is to help people achieve their highest state of well-being, regardless of times and regardless of circumstances. And so that's what I'd like to share with you all today. I'm trained as a yoga, meditation, and mindfulness instructor, and delighted again to be here with you today to share my expertise and my personal and professional passions.
Thank you, Dr. Julie. And we also have Dr. Sharon. Sharon.
Thank you so much, Marshall. It's really an honor to be here with you and Dr. Julie. So I'm Dr. Sharon Melnick, and I'm a business psychologist by training, and a stress and resilience expert. What I'm going to talk about comes from 10 years of research at Harvard Medical School, and then field testing these ideas and tools with professionals, employees, and leaders at over 60 of the Fortune 500. And a lot of it comes from the toolkit that's in my first book called Success Under Stress: Powerful Tools for Staying Calm, Confident, and Productive When the Pressure's On. I think it qualifies as when the pressure's on now. And just like Dr. Julie was saying, is that, when we feel hijacked by fear, or when we can't get our head to kind of, have clarity about our path forward, then we're really not able to kind of help ourselves and actually be there to help others. So I think I can't wait for the conversation. We're going to give you really a whole toolkit, how you can show up as your best self in this time.
All right, let's get rolling. The first topic we're going to discuss is self-care. And we're going to start with Dr. Sharon, then Dr. Julie. And the first question for Dr. Sharon is, what is self-care in your mind? And why is it important? And by the way, one guideline for all of our listeners is I'm a Buddhist, and a Buddhist said only do what I teach if it works for you. On these calls, we're going to have a lot of smart people, a lot of great people. They're going to give you ideas. You listen to it, do what works for you. If it works, say thank you. If it doesn't work, take a deep breath, let it go. Don't waste your energy on judging or critiquing ideas. Just listen, do what works for you. If it works, great. If it doesn't, move on. There's a lot of good stuff. So let's start it with Dr. Sharon. Self-care, what is it and why is it important? Go.
Yeah, and I think breathing is going to be a theme throughout here. But, I think when we think about self-care, we think about it in terms of like, maybe get a massage or, go for a walk. And I think those are all beneficial things. But I'd like to almost like enlarge the definition because, we only feel stress when there's aspects of situations that feel out of our control. It is the out of controlness, like if you will, that activates a stress reaction. So the more that you can control, the less you will experience stress. And that's where I think self-care can come in, because in this time when there's so much reverberating around us that feels out of our control, I want all of you to really maximize and focus on what it is that you can control. And actually, there's always 3 things that you can control. You can control your own physiology. So you can calm your own mind. You can control your own psychology, right? What are the mental movies that you're painting in your own mind? Or, how can you get yourself to stay optimistic? And you can always control your own problem solving, right? So, if you feel overwhelmed by what's happening, we're seeing lots of examples of people who are saying, I can help, I can start this organization. Here's how I can bring together. You can control the way that you're positioning yourself to step up and bring value to your organization. And as a leader of a team, you create the weather on your team. And as a parent, you create the weather in your household. So we'll be talking that there's actually, I would even be saying that all the things that you can do to try to maximize on what you can control is going to help you take care of yourself in these times.
Very good. Now, thank you. And before we go to Dr. Julie, I want everybody to be thinking about questions you may have for Dr. Sharon and Dr. Julie, and just write those in, because Justin is going to be taking notes and he's going to be the voice of God and speak these questions back to us. So I would love to get questions for you as we speak. Before we get to Dr. Julie, I'm going to ask a question to the group, and I'd like you to respond in the chat box. You talked about stress. I want you to imagine the imaginary stressometer. 100, this is the most stress you've ever experienced in your life. And 1, this is the least experienced stress you've ever experienced. 100 is the most stress I've ever had in my life. 1, is this the least stressed I've ever had in my life? On your own personal stressometer, there is no right answer, of course. Every person is certainly unique. I would like to hear a group answer though. So on your own, send in a chat. All you have to give me is a number. 100, most stressed I've ever been. 1 is the least stressed I've ever been. Any number in between on that stressometer, send it in. Justin, I would like you to just give me a ballpark on the answers. Don't worry about it being perfect. I'm very curious to see what the answer to that question would be. Dr. Julie, what is self-care? Why is it important?
Well, Marshall, I think that self-care is really not selfish, first and foremost. It is essential to take care of yourself, to bring yourself effectively to others. And that includes whether you're a family member or whether you're a professional or both. We cannot serve others well unless we take care of ourselves. And in these uncertain times, we really have to pay more attention to taking care of ourselves. And that includes what we eat, how much we're sleeping, whether we do practices such as yoga or meditation and yoga both are significant stress relievers that's been shown in the scientific literature. And in addition, we really need to pay attention to how we're handling ourselves and how we're structuring our lives in these times when there is so much uncertainty, so much chaos, and so many of us are at home. So first and foremost, prioritize your well-being, and then you can bring yourself to others and to your community much more effectively.
Excellent. Dr. Julie, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I've read a lot of books on Buddhism. You've got about 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes to basically give people a basic meditation technique that they can just take back and use without having to read 12 books.
Well, what we can do together is actually a breathing technique, and we can all do this. So Marshall and Dr. Sharon, why don't we do this together? And folks at home or online, let's do it together. If you'll just take a comfortable seated position, if you're not already seated. And I want you to feel the support of the chair underneath you. That feeling, that support will help you to be more grounded. And with your feet planted on the floor, hips width apart, your spine straight but not stiff, shoulders back but not relaxed, and your chin level to the ground. Feel yourself slowing down. And put your left hand on your belly, your right hand on your chest. And let's just do a few moments of breathing together. So I want you to inhale through your nose, expanding your belly from deep in your belly. Take an inhale, silently count to 3. Extend that inhale up to your chest with your right hand on your chest. Feel your chest expand. Hold that breath for another silent count of 3. And through pursed lips, gently let that breath go. Another silent count of 3. And we'll do this again one more time together. Feel the ground supporting you underneath you. Feel the support of the earth. Feel the support of our community here today on LinkedIn Live. And then take a deep breath from your belly. Feel your left hand expand up into your chest. Hold that second breath for a silent count of 3. And then just let it go. Chest, belly. And then everyone gently open your eyes and check in with yourself. And let's all check in with yourselves. And I ask you maybe to share in the chat box, how do you feel now? If you were feeling super stressed, did this very short breathing exercise, did it help you to feel less stress? And remember, your breath is available to you anytime to help you find calm in the midst of chaos and in the midst of uncertainty.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, before I go to Dr. Sharon, that was wonderful, Dr. Julie. Before I go to Dr. Sharon, Justin, on that stressometer score, I have no idea what the results are going to be. What is roughly the average, or what's roughly the median score, the score that's kind of in the middle of all the scores?
Marshall, what we're seeing from the numbers being punched in here is about 85% of participants put in a 60 or higher on their stress scale. About 5% did 20 or less. We had one person who typed in 100, and probably about 15% between 20 and 60.
Now, if you had to have the median, that's the score where half is above, half would be below. A ballpark, what would it be? Around 60, 70? What do you think?
Yeah, we're probably going to be around 50. It's probably a 50-50 at that point. 85% are at 60 right now, or higher.
Okay, great. Okay, great. 85% or 60. Okay, Dr. Sharon, you wrote a book about stress, so this is a topic you're very familiar with. What are some perhaps stress relieving activities you might share with the people in the room, especially like the person that said 100?
Yeah, I think I'm going to help people understand a little bit about why that breathing technique was so helpful for us. Because you see, under stress and, when we're overwhelmed and feel like there's things that we can't control, it's our nervous system that helps us to deal. And we have an on button, our sympathetic nervous system, and an off button, our parasympathetic nervous system. And that on button gives us the ability to do tactics and focus and solve problems and do meetings. The off button gives us rejuvenation and calm. Now, what happens is that we are only on, we're only using that on button. And the consequence is that it affects our thinking and our mode of connecting with people and even our performance at work. So in this on button mode, everything gets filtered through the emotional systems of the brain. And the first question that everything gets filtered through is, what does this mean about me? Right? And also, you can only reference the past in order to figure out how to deal with the situation and problem solve. So you can see that what we want is that we want to balance the on and the off button. The off button is what enables you to kind of take that step back, clear your mind, see the bigger picture, have intuitions and new thoughts about how you might be able to pivot or the resources that you can call upon within yourself. And that's what that breathing does, is that it helps to balance the on and the off button. And so this is very effective. Any of these kinds of breathing techniques will immediately start to calm your mind, and you can think about it more constructively. And one thing that I might add to this, since what we're really looking for is kind of rapid ways of pressing that off button. One of the things that I've been hearing from people is sleep issues, right? Because we're so wound up, or we might wake up in the middle of the night with our thoughts racing about our worries or our to-do list. And so here's just another example of what you can do to press that off button. Left nostril breathing. You can cover your right nostril. Breathe exclusively through your left nostril. And when you awaken in the middle of the night, that should put you back to bed within about 3 minutes. No external substances needed, because it activates the vagal nerve. That is the chief nerve of the relaxation system. And so I think it's helpful to start to give these exercises that you can all practice immediately, because it helps you see that it's not about stress management, it's about self-management. And we're starting to learn a toolkit here that you can all use.
Now, I wasn't going to pitch in on content, but I have an idea myself. I'm not good at most things, but one thing I'm really good at is sleeping. I have hitchhiked over 10,000 miles. I've slept in laundromats. I've slept beside of the road. I've slept under bridges. I could sleep anywhere. I mean, I was working with a client recently. They apologized. They said, "Oh, I hope you could sleep okay in the Marriott hotel." I said, "Are you kidding me? I've slept in laundromats. I've slept under bridges. I've slept along the side of the road for years. I think I can handle the Marriott hotel." Well, let me give you one guideline on sleeping. Sleeping, a lot of people don't think of this, is a discipline like anything else. In my job, I have over 11 million frequent flyer miles. I'm often asked about jet lag. I never have jet lag. Why? I can always sleep. My suggestion on sleeping is do what Sharon said. Also, breathe, put the thing over your eyes, and tell yourself, I'm going to sleep. And this is a discipline. Focus on being where you are. The best thing you can do for yourself for the next 8 hours is sleep. It's not worry about work. It's not worry about some problem. The best thing to tell yourself I can do for myself and the world for the next 8 hours is sleep, and look at that as a discipline, a job, just like anything else. And if you just have that discipline, I think, you might find that to be helpful. So just a little idea. Again, I've got a lot of problems. One thing I'm good at, sleeping in my job, sleeping is critically important. Dr. Julie, how about exercise? Any suggestions on that?
Well, Marshall, if I could just comment on sleep very quickly, and then we can move to exercise, because I have a few other things that I think are important, and I can dovetail exercise here as well. First of all, in the sleep situation, the media is rife with information now, more than usual. And a lot of that information is very stressful. It's stressful information. So what I'd suggest as well on the sleeping matter is to be able to relax, turn off your social media, turn off your computer a minimum of 90 minutes before you go to bed. Don't eat a big meal, and don't drink alcohol at this critical time. The sugars in alcohol really are difficult to manage from a digestive standpoint and from a standpoint of supporting your immune system, especially when we're stressed. So I would encourage you basically not to do those things and really have a quiet, cool, comfortable room to sleep in. And as Dr. Sharon and Marshall have said, it's really important to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Your body needs a chance to turn off. But now let's turn to exercise. So here we are, homebound, and some of us can't even go beyond the perimeters of our yard. What I think is really important at this time is that we structure our lives not to forget the fact that movement is key to our own health, longevity, and our well-being. And what I don't want to see as a physician is more of a problem later on as this current crisis abates, with more obesity, more sedentary lifestyle, more cardiac disease, and more problems. So what I'd encourage you to do is some strength training exercise. You just need a few hand weights to do this, and your body weight as well. You can do things like squats and leg lifts with your body weight. You can do small arm exercises like biceps and triceps. And this is available to you online. I'm sorry we can't demonstrate it in this video, but you can do it very easily at home in a very small space. And this includes cardio, jumping jacks, leg lifts, leg kicks. I can't tell you, I can be worn out standing in a space that's 6 by 6. So it can occur. So even if you don't have a home gym, even if you don't have much equipment, and even if you don't have weights, grab 2 soup cans and work to be able to move your body. You will feel better. And back on the topic of sleep, you will sleep better if you do this. Now, I really like something called the 7-minute exercise, because I think less is best, because we're all busy and we can be busy no matter what we're doing, or even if we're at home. So I think short stints of exercise and short stints of calming activities, such as the breathing, such as meditation, such as gentle stretching. These things throughout your day will help you to maintain your resilience and your ability to manage during these stressful times. As Dr. Sharon said, I couldn't agree more. It is up to you. You have control of your mindset. Make it about self-care. Make it about prioritization. You are critically important, and then you can bring yourself better to your family and to your community.
Yeah.
Well, Justin,
can I follow up on that?
Sure.
I was just going to follow up on that just essential advice that Dr. Julie gave. So 2 things. One is I just want to help people think through, if you're in a confined space now with other people, what I'm starting to hear, from my clients is that we might start getting on each other's nerves. Right. So I think it's very important for us all to be less reactive and more intentional. Right. So I think it's important to not associate the people who you are sheltering in place with any of the kind of negative emotions that you are having. I think it's important for you to be aware of your own emotions in the situation, to try to understand kind of where you're feeling them in your own body and make sense of them before you kind of behave towards other people. I think it's a time for extreme sport compassion. We are all in this together. And I think, as a leader of a team, as a leader of a household, I think we want to be intentional. You could even have discussions on your team about, we have a reset in terms of our culture. What's the culture that we want to create? or in our household. What is an ideal day? How do we want to go through it? What does each person need? Can we map out each of our schedules of when we need to be and, have distance or be in a certain part of the house or do our own self-care routines? So I think, being intentional about our communication is very important. And then the final thing that I'll say about that in terms of, because I've been talking with a lot of leaders who are like, how can I keep my teams optimistic, in these times? And what's been shown really to be the most effective is a tone of realistic optimism. Optimism starts with a kind of a positive picture of the future in your mind. It's very motivating to you and your team. Like, there's something that each of us can do in order to try to get the outcome that we want. And it creates a positive mood, which, contributes to problem solving. It's actually even been associated with a healthy immune system. You don't want to be falsely reassuring in this time. You need to look within in your own life and where you've been able to have that optimism that's enabled you to be resilient in your own life, and maybe even tap into your own beliefs or spiritual beliefs about kind of why things happen in the overall arc of history, and maybe even ask the question, how might this be happening for us instead of to us, just because it really shifts your mindset to feel like you have more control.
Before we depart, Justin, you've looked at questions from the group. Just pick one that's kind of representative of a lot of people. What would it be, the most common question that you're getting out there?
A lot of these have to do with stress, Marshall, and I'm seeing them asked in different ways, both from people asking to help themselves and also to help those around them. I'll phrase this one. This one came from Shaima Ali, and it says, how can I maintain control if those around me are overstressed?
Very great question. Real quick, because we only have about a minute to go. Dr. Julie, then Dr. Sharon.
Yes, well, so I think that behavior actually can be contagious. In other words, if you have a sense of calm, if you're practicing breathing, if you're practicing meditation, as Dr. Sharon said, if you are resilient in the face of adversity, others may follow suit. Our chaos and our behaviors as related to chaos often are contagious. And if we live in an environment that we create that's chaotic, that environment can be chaotic for others. So practice these self-care techniques. And let me be clear, they are medicine. They're not pills in a bottle, but we know that exercise, breath work, yoga, and meditation, they boost the immune system, and everybody needs that now. So I'd encourage you to practice and be well.
Okay, Dr. Sharon.
Thank you. Yes, and just building on what Dr. Julie said is that your presence is so powerful for yourself and for other people now. Your calming presence can literally help to rewire the nervous system of people around you. You can also help them to think through what their challenges are, hold space for them, be empathic, reflect back to them what it is that they are feeling, and that will also calm them down. And really encourage them to think through what can they control in their own physiology, their own psychology, and in their problem solving. Do the breathing techniques together, right? There's actually so much more that we can control than we think we can.
Let me wrap up by saying first, thank you to Dr. Sharon and thank you to Dr. Julie. It's been wonderful to have you here. Second, I'm going to have Dr. Sharon and Julie come back if they would agree to. I hope both of you would agree to join us again. And what I'd like to do is we're going to do an entire session that's just Q&A. So please right now send any questions you may have for Dr. Sharon, Dr. Julie, both. We'll just spend a whole half hour doing nothing but Q&A. That way we'll have plenty of time, and if we don't get through, we'll do another half hour the next week. So we're not in a time crisis here. So please just send in. Also, all of this is going to be archived. Justin, can you tell people how they can share this with others on the archive?
Yeah, in order to look at the archive, just go to Marshall's LinkedIn feed, go to posts, and we'll have the replay of this particular series live right away.
Okay, and again, very good. And I hope you don't mind. If you want to get a hold of me, marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com. Sharon, if you want to, or Dr. Julie, you can put your email online. People get back to you. Sometimes we can't answer every question, obviously. On the other hand, we can listen, and sometimes people do have some very reasonable requests. So the final thing is, thank you so much for both of you. I really appreciate you joining us online. Thank you very much. And we're all in this together, so take care of yourself out there. So thank you very much. Big round of applause for Dr. Sharon and Dr. Julie donating their time today. Thank you.